Hello, guys. Welcome back to a podcast episode 1. I'm Trevin, your host, and we're going to be talking about running miles. There's just a lot to talk about when it comes down to running miles, and this year I've learned a lot when it comes down to running miles. But before we get deep into the topic, happy Saturday, everyone. Hope everyone's July, summer, and weekend has been doing well. I'm just podcasting for the weekend. I don't really have anything planned. But anyways, let me explain why I'm going to be talking about this. But those of you who are new, welcome to the podcast. And I hope you guys learned something valuable when it comes down to running. But let's do a little introduction on, let's do the key values. So why is it important to be running? So what I've noticed is, I know in 2026 we want to be very, very healthy people. We want to hit the gym, we want to be healthier, we want to cut down on junk and stuff. So let's just talk about that, what to avoid. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, how do we avoid our bodies getting weaker? So I am a guy who eats a lot of snacks, and I love soda. I love Dr. Pepper and stuff, and any type of soda just for like drinking in general. I wouldn't drink it like a lot, but certain occasions, maybe when I go to restaurants, maybe that's like the only time I'd really drink it. Other than that, I wouldn't really like drink it too much. So there's a key factor you can do. You can just limit it a little bit. Maybe drink more like water. More water is the key to it, because my coach told me, when I used to play basketball, my coach told me, do you know the difference when you're drinking water, you're being more consistent with your body, compared to when you're being inconsistent? What that means is, you're eating a lot of junk and you get a lot of belly fat in here. And I've noticed when I play a lot of basketball, like I don't play for a league anymore because I'm too old, but I go outside and I play a lot of basketball and I hoop. And I notice a difference. I look in the mirror every single time I brush my teeth or I'm getting ready to go somewhere. I always double check in the mirror to see if there's any belly fat. And when I notice it, that's when I'm like, oh shoot, there's belly fat in me. I gotta really be consistent about that and limiting it a little bit. My point is, you're allowed to eat junk food and soda or Gatorade or whatever, as long as you limit it and you don't eat it all the time, every day, because we know it's bad for you. And the next topic we're going to talk about is, what are some ways you can get your body fit? Well, like I mentioned, going outside, maybe going for a walk, maybe going for a light jog, maybe just enjoying the nature out there. Nature walks are very, very great. If you see on Instagram or whatever, there's a lot of people that go on hikes because they want to get fit. That's how you gain muscles and stuff. Another thing, speaking of that, another thing you can do is also go to the gym as well. That's a good source for you to do. I've noticed a lot of people are telling me, I've had people ask me, do you need to go to the gym to be fit? The real answer is no, not really, but at the same time, yeah. So if someone willing to ask me, I wouldn't say really you need to go to the gym, because that's like, if you really want to work your muscles, then yeah, that is where I'd say go to the gym. But if you're like me, you just want to casually just get strong and not do anything too heavy, then I would say yeah, probably just do push-ups, jumping jacks, deep, like, sorry, I did not mean to say that. Something like curls, sit-ups, anything that has to do with the core. What else? Planks is a good one too. And then you also have, there's another one that I do. I forgot which one it was. I'm gonna have to think about it. I think, squats. That's the one I'm thinking about. Anything that has to do with your lower body, anything that you can feel pain through the arms or through the legs, just means when you're feeling pain, it just means you're really working your butt off, and that's good that you are working your butt off, which is good, because that is the point and how these gymnasts are so fit. They grind every day, they stay consistent. You don't have to go super crazy. You don't have to be like John Cena and The Rock, where you have to get abs in here, unless you really, really want to get abs. Personally, I don't have like a six-pack yet or anything. But, I might want a six-pack in the future, but like, not really, I'm not like really that focused when it comes down to six-packs. I'm not really like that desperate for a six-pack. I'm just waiting for it to come to me, and stuff. Because you're not gonna get it like right away. You just gotta like, keep grinding and working your butt off, because that's sometimes, I know, just because, there's this quote that I saw from a podcast. This guy said that just because you get to the top doesn't mean you're finished, Like Kobe Bryant says, the job's not finished. Just because you got successful at one thing doesn't mean you can celebrate yet, unless you finish it, Like, I run miles every week, and I always switch it up to like 1 mile week. 1 week I do 1 mile, and then 1 week I do 2, 3. But everyone's different, so I don't know. That concludes our next topic. How consistent, or how many miles should I run a week? My thing is, maybe once, if you're really consistent and you really like running, or you just want to do in general, maybe 2. But if you want to do it like me, I only do a mile like one time, once a week. Like I said, 1 mile, 2 another week, and then 3. But I'll explain my progress in a bit, but I'm just going to explain this part. That you don't have to go hard on yourself. I know sometimes we want to lose weight as well, or we want to be fast and stuff, but I don't know. Everyone's different. Some like to run a lot, some don't. So honestly, it just depends on the person. It depends on you. You gotta know yourself as a person. Know your pace. Know how fast you go. If you know you're the type of person that has a good pace, then do 2 miles. If you're getting confident. If 1 mile is too easy for you, then if 1 mile is too easy, go 2. And if 2 is too easy, go 3. Then 4, then 5. But I would say go around 2 to 3 is good enough, because I did a 3-mile run for the first time, and it was very tough. But hey, Mother Princess, if you're watching this right now, thank you so much for that advice you gave me on doing 3 miles. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great weekend and enjoying Harry Potter. Next episode is going to be a Harry Potter podcast. I'm going to upload it tomorrow. We'll see. But it's in the work in progress. But anyways, our next topic is going to be, the next thing we're going to talk about is how fast do we need to go? Or how many minutes do I have to finish? So, like I just explained, that you got to know your pace. If you know your pace and you have confidence in yourself, if like if you want to be fast, or if you want to get a good time, if you want to get around like 6:30, you want to get around like 7:30, I'd say go slow paced. So I have someone who told me that go 75%. What that means is not to go too fast. You jog it. Make sure when you're running, you're jogging the whole time. You're not just stopping unless you're tying your shoe. But if you keep pausing, or you stop running, it doesn't count, technically, if you think about it. You didn't do a full mile. Because what the point is you're supposed to be running it without stopping, is what a mile is. If you see at those New York, Brooklyn marathons, that there are people that run that mile because they don't stop. If you notice, they don't stop. You see why people are sweating and stuff? Because they don't stop. They know that they're going to finish. And that is how it's supposed to be done. And I didn't know that at first, I'll be honest. I really did not know that at first until Princess told me. But, I'm glad she gave me that advice. But, okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is how many miles should I do? What was the next topic I was going to talk? I think about, let's see. Oh, about motivation. Let's talk about this one, actually. This one's going to be an interesting one. How do you motivate yourself to run a mile. So let's say next week I run 2 miles and I don't want to run it. Well, there's a quote that I found that your body has to fight through laziness. Let's say your brain says, I want to run, but your stomach or body is like, oh, but I don't want to run today. There's a choice. There's 2 choices you can make. One, you can either fight through the laziness and be confident and just be like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to run it. Or you just be like, no, I'm going to wait till next week. Okay, there's a difference. When you want to take a break, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Obviously, like, everyone's different. But, if you keep being like that and you keep saying, oh, I'm going to do it next week for the next 2-3 weeks, there's a difference with your body. There's going to be more body fat in your belly. Like, everyone's going to be able to see it, especially yourself in the mirror. And then, you're losing confidence in yourself too. And then you start eating, say, Rice Krispies, Goldfish, Cheez-Its, or whatever. You can save that for later. You can save that for after your run. But what my point is that breaks are okay, but you just have to jump back into it, is what I'm trying to explain. Next thing we're going to talk about is my experience with running. How did I get here? How did I start? And did I enjoy it? So let's start off with, obviously, Mother Princess. Thank you so much for getting me inspired in this podcast. Thank you so much. I love the running. But let's explain. So I did not like running. I'll be honest. I never liked it. I was a fast runner back in like 5th grade. But, your body gets used to it over time. So how my progress was, I like to get in between 6:30 is usually like a milestone, or like my favorite is like a time I like. 7 minutes is okay, or anything that's before 6:30 or 7:30 I will honestly go with. That is like totally fine with me. Because I always text my aunts and uncles that run, and they say that I've gotten unmotivated sometimes. Like, if I don't get 6:30 or 7:30, I'll get so, like, depressed. But I text them, I'm like, yeah, I could have done better. And they're like, don't worry about it. You have many opportunities to run miles. And my uncle gave me so much good advice. He told me, you're never going to succeed. Not every mile is going to go smoothly. But the least you can do is redeem yourself. And he's not wrong. That is true. Sometimes we just give up because we didn't get the right time. But, things are a work in progress. You're going to make mistakes in processes. Whatever your next journey is, you're going to make mistakes. And that is all we learn as humans. I think that's another podcast topic I'll talk about. Making mistakes and going into career paths in another episode, but we'll see. But, so from my experience, that 1 mile became too easy, and then I got to 2 miles, which honestly is starting to get a little bit easy, which is 8 laps, and then I think a Thursday I did 12 laps, which is about 3 miles. So I love running. I can notice a big improvement when it comes down to that. But before we move on to the next topic, yeah, I've enjoyed it. I start to like over time. Sometimes my body can get a little lazy when it comes down to running. Some days it doesn't want to do it. Some days it does. But, that's just how it is. But, everyone's different. So, you can't force someone to do, do 2 miles just because you do it. You can't just be like, oh, you can encourage them, but you can't, force them into it. But, yeah, so before we end off the podcast, this is going to be the last topic. What have I learned from this experience? So, what I've learned was that if you want to be very healthy, like this year, I know some of us want to be healthy. We want to have healthy bodies. We want to, run for fun. You could do it for fun too. You don't have to do it for competition or anything, or just because you want to compete with others. And what I've learned is that there's ways to take care of your body. This is actually a good way for motivation and for anybody. You can inspire others, you can pace yourself, you can discipline your body, what type of food and drinks you put in your body and stuff. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about for end off the podcast is, what should I eat? Bananas and granola bars, something healthy that will pump up your body. What I've noticed is when I eat a banana, my body doesn't feel like it's not kicking in yet. That energy, potassium, gets in your body. Like by the third lap, I can feel the banana inside my veins. Like I can feel it like pumping up my blood and stuff. And I really, really like that from that experience. And granola bars I just love a lot. But, you know, I don't know, everyone's different. Alright, anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. I just love talking about anything with motivational. Maybe we'll do a motivation podcast, but those two who are running, keep being inspiring the others, keep up the pace. And it doesn't matter how old you are, too. You can still run at like 70 years old. But I hope you guys learned a lot from here. But thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. Enjoy your guys' weekend. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Alright, bye guys. Bye-bye.